Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Jen. Thank you so much for watching today. If you're new and you have not yet subscribed, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. We share lots of fun content over here, and not only do I share Disney content, but I also share a lot of lifestyle content. I live in an old Victorian home, so I share a lot of things about my home as well, including ghost stories, which is perfect for this time of year. So definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But today I am here to talk about the history of the Haunted Mansion, which is my favorite ride in Walt Disney World. And I was also lucky enough to spend a weekend at the Harry Packer Mansion in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, which was the architectural inspiration for the Haunted Mansion. So I'm really fascinated with it, and I'm excited to talk about the Haunted Mansion and the history of it, as it has just approached its 50-year anniversary. So the Haunted Mansion is basically a carbon copy of the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland. The Haunted Mansion originated in Disneyland, and when they were creating it, they knew that they were going to be building another one with a little bit of a different architectural style in the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida. So they wanted something that was more of a Gothic manor type of a building rather than the New Orleans plantation house that they currently had in Disneyland. And again, they found the inspiration for that in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania at the Harry Packer Mansion. Now, if you take a look at the outside of the Harry Packer Mansion and compare it directly to the Haunted Mansion in the Magic Kingdom, you can see that there are really a lot of similarities, and they did a great job in recreating the Haunted Mansion to look like the facade of the Harry Packer Mansion. The mansion in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania is absolutely beautiful inside, but the layout of the interior was taken from the Rathbone Estate in Albany, New York, which no longer sadly exists, or I would have been there as well. The Harry Packer Mansion is dated 1874, and it was a perfect fit for being displayed in Liberty Square in the Magic Kingdom. I thought it was a lot of fun to look into the backstory of the Haunted Mansion, because initially it was supposed to be a walkthrough ride, and there was going to be a maid and a butler who walked you through room by room and had a spooky story to tell with kind of creepy and weird things going on in each and every room. So I want to share with you guys the different stories that Disney Imagineers created, because there are several stories of the Haunted Mansion prior to what we know it as today. So the first story was the legend of Captain Gore. Now, Captain Gore was a sea captain, and apparently he had stolen a treasure and hidden it in his manor, and his bride found it. So mysteriously, his bride Priscilla goes missing, and there were 14 guests at a time that were brought through the mansion by the maid and the butler to tour the old sea captain's mansion. This tour included a picture gallery, as you guys all know the picture gallery if you've been to the Haunted Mansion, and one of the pictures was Captain Gore, and there were these big hairy arms that would come out and grab the butler. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then the next idea was Bloodmere Manor, where guests were brought through the 100-year-old manor that was undergoing renovations. So apparently they weren't able to successfully renovate this manor because all of the ghostly encounters, the ghosts just did not want anyone touching their old manor home and renovating it. So the story is that one of the contractors was actually walled up in one of the rooms, and you can hear him hammering from within the wall. So I just thought that that was the least exciting one. The next one was really weird. It was called Welcome to Walt's Place. This is where guests would be brought into the mansion because they were attending a wedding where the bride literally loses her head. I think the groom ends up killing the bride during the wedding. It was just a weird story. The next attempt was the one that I found the most fascinating, and this is the Headless Horseman. And guests would see the Headless Horseman galloping through the cemetery, so I thought that's a great setup to entering the mansion. And then once again, you're headed into a wedding reception, and the guests attending, this is fun, we have Dracula, Frankenstein, and Caesar's ghost. And I'm just kind of imagining the ballroom scene when you're going through the Haunted Mansion, and you have all of these characters that you know well from horror movies hanging out in the ballroom. It just sounds pretty funny, but also pretty interesting. And then there was this was my favorite part. There's a secret fireplace passageway where guests can exit the attraction. And again, for this Haunted Mansion tour, you were going to a wedding and the bride was a no-show. She just never shows up. So really, really funny. And then there was the planned Museum of the Weird, which would have showcased odd creatures and also a gypsy wagon of singing spirits. There was a constant battle with whether or not the Haunted Mansion should be scary or if it should be funny. And I think they really came out with a great combination of both, where you can feel a little bit on edge, but also be entertained. I know for myself, the scariest part is going through the cemetery, but also they're playing some of my all-time favorite Disney songs like Grin Grinning Ghosts. I love that song. So I'm kind of like feeling upbeat and happy, but at the same time, I'm kind of like a little bit freaked out by all of the ghosts popping out of their tombstones and things. So they really, really do a great job of having a good combination of both being scary and being funny. Disney initially began this project with some pretty gory and I think what would not have gone over well types of theories and storylines, where it was just way too gruesome, especially for a park that is supposed to be appropriate for people of all ages, right? So it would have been, I think, too much for a lot of younger kids and even for older kids and adults as well in the direction they were initially going. Originally, the ghost host was supposed to be a black raven that would bring you from room to room and talk to you about what was going on. So they wanted the butler and the maid to remain silent and just kind of be your escort. And then this black raven was going to talk about the story of the Haunted Mansion, whichever story that was going to be. But they realized that the raven was just too small and didn't drive enough attention to it. And I think it's great that it didn't work out for them, because I love the disembodied ghost host that you hear, especially now in the dune buggies, which eventually did come to play because the walkthrough idea was just taking way too long and you could not accommodate nearly as much guests. So they did create the Omni Cars, I think that's what they're called, and that was a great way of getting people through the mansion more quickly, but with the speakers behind your ears, and you kind of like hear and even almost feel that ghostly apparition talking to you, I think is one of the best parts of the Haunted Mansion. So I'm really glad that the Black Raven did not work out. Although you can still see him when you're headed into the Haunted Mansion. I believe it's right before you get in to see Madame Leota. He's over on a piano. There might be a couple of locations actually where you can see the Raven, but he is no longer your ghost host. So after 18 years of trial and error with the story and the setup of the Haunted Mansion, they finally were able to create somewhat of a story. So this is the story as we know it today. Act 1, which is the beginning of the ride, sets the scene for poltergeist activity. So we go through the gallery of pictures that are very hauntingly looking at you. They turn from like a cool photograph to a skeleton or a monstrous looking person. And then we head into the ballroom, which is such an amazing scene in the Haunted Mansion. And this reminds me of all of the attempts to have weddings in the Haunted Mansion in previous stories. And then Act 2 is when we go to see the famous Madame Leota, and she's having a seance and having all of the spirits materialize. And at this point, you see all the spirits coming into action, really starting to sing and move. And back in September of 2007, Constance, the Black Widowed Bride, is introduced. And we go through the attic and we see her and some creepy photographs of her and her previous husbands. And then finally, Act 3, the final act, brings guests through the graveyard scene where the spirits have all come out for a swinging week. And in 2011, they enhanced the hitchhiking ghosts. So when you are leaving the attraction, you can see them sitting in the car with you and interacting with you and jumping around, and it's a lot of fun. And also, if you get the memory maker, you can see that. on your app, you can see the pictures of the ghosts sitting next to you, so that's pretty fun. And over the years, the Haunted Mansion has seen lots of different upgrades, and they're always tweaking it and doing new and fun things. One of my favorite things that they have done was they really made the queue so interactive and fun. This is a ride that you kind of want to be online for a little while, because they have so many fun things to do and see, including the busts of the Dread family. And if you read the epitaphs on the busts, you can learn about the scary story of all of their deaths. You can also see the composer, which is the haunted organ that's playing, the tombstones with Master Gracie, who is the master of the house, and then the captain, Captain Culpepper, which in his tombstone, he's like sneezing and all bubbles come out. But what's also really cool to note about this is the location where you can see the wedding ring that Constance threw from the bedroom window. So if you have ever heard the story of the ring that you can see in the grounds when you're leaving the Haunted Mansion, you actually cannot find it when you're leaving, because I've looked a whole bunch of times. But when you are at that specific location by the captain, you'll be able to see exactly where it is towards the exit. And the backstory is that guests from the park saw this little pipe sticking out of the ground, and it's really like small, like a small little circle pipe sticking out of the ground, and they created the story that the bride in the attic threw the ring out of the window. Well, it became such a well-known story, and so many people were always looking for this ring, that Disney actually made it a legit engagement ring in the ground. So I think it's a lot of fun that Disney did that for its guests. They actually heard of that story and decided to follow through and just make it a real thing. And then you can also see the tombstone for the writer, Prudence Pock, and library books kind of pop in and out, like whack-a-mole style. They just kind of keep going in and out of the library. So many fun things to see, as well as the tombstones are very, very silly. And you have the one tombstone that has the woman's face, and I just noticed on my last trip her eyes blink, and I was like, what? So really pay close attention to what's going on around you when you're waiting online. And being that the Haunted Mansion is my favorite ride in Disney, obviously Memento Mori is my favorite place to shop. I have got some of these items from Memento Mori, and I will show you this one specifically. I hope it still works. So this holds the spirit of Constance Hatchaway, the bride. So this used to play music from the Haunted Mansion, and the bride would light up, and they had all of these jars with all of the different ghosts from the Haunted Mansion. And you can see here her ring is hanging off the side. Also things like this music box, which I ended up getting at the Harry Packer Mansion because they have Haunted Mansion merch, but I believe they sold this also at Memento Mori. And you can hear the Grinning Ghost song. But the story of Memento Mori is Madame Leota was a witch who fled from Salem during the Salem witch trials, and she decided to open shop where she could read tarot cards, do seances, read palms, and things of that nature. So this is her shop, and what you can find in this shop is tons of Haunted Mansion merch, which is pretty spectacular. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit of the backstory of the Haunted Mansion, some of the history of it, and it's a lot of fun to celebrate the 50th. So I am really enjoying sharing these videos with you guys. If you did not see my last video, I shared a little bit of the backstory and history of opening day of the Magic Kingdom. That was lots of fun too, so please go ahead and check that out. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite original Magic Kingdom ride was. Are you a Haunted Mansion fan like me, or would you be picking something else out from those lettered tickets that you needed to purchase back in the 1970s? So let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to know what your favorite ride is. Don't forget to check out the coordinating blog post below, where I talk more about the history of the Haunted Mansion at wdwbloggers.com. Thank you again for watching. Please like, subscribe, don't forget to comment, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.